Okay, I finally got away. Welcome to the Lordly Verdict. I'm Mitchell, Lord of my domain. I've had to get a new place. Sorry, I'm just. I've been a bit busy. Haven't gotten much sleep. I got my copy of Fallout 4! Yes, today we'll. I'm in college! Today we'll be reviewing Fallout 4. And well, honestly, it's as awesome as people say. It's Fallout 4. It's really, really hard to screw that up. And even if you do screw it up, it'll probably only become clear in retrospect. As such, this is going to be a first look review. And, well, the first thing I'm going to discuss is the changes. Since they actually changed a lot in this. And this is a fine example of tweaking the formula to make the game better. I'd actually compare it to Borderlands 2 in how it tweaked the formula, though it made more extensive changes. First change is the Radiant Quest system. Yeah, the Radiant Quests from Skyrim are back, but they're actually much better done in this. See, Radiant Quests are restricted to some very specific people, the Minutemen and the Brotherhood of Steel, amongst a few others, and they're tied down to the quest line. What they'll do is they have a quest line, have you do a Radiant quest, then another Radiant quest, then back to the quest line. And it's done as a, this is you paying your dues. Radiant quests are also simple, quick, and devoted mainly to exploration. Like, clear X area of raiders and clear Y area of monsters. Those are the Radiant quests. And they even give additional rewards besides just caps. Like the Minutemen quests actually give you new settlements, and you can send the people at those settlements to your old settlements. Establish a supply line and all that, which leads into the settlement system. It's the big new feature in this. You can create your own community. And it's, well, honestly, it's not nearly as revolutionary as it looks. Since you have to do everything in-game, well, you can certainly tweak it and do a lot of stuff. Honestly, for me, I found it fine just slap down some extra houses and call it a day. You have to ensure they have sufficient resources, but those are relatively easy to do. You just take some food you've collected and plant it, and suddenly, poof, you have a farm going. And the best part is, once you have the farm going, you can actually collect the excess food and add it to your thing. You can't do that, what I've been able to tell, with the water, which sadly is a shame, but, well, I'll check to see if I just missed it. Because there is an option to pump water. If there is, well, that's going to be dang fun. See, the big deal is you can establish your own trading area. And you can connect different settlements. When you connect different settlements, you have all the resources in one settlement available in others. And workshops provide unlimited storage space, which is really awesome. So, you know how in Fallout 3 and in Skyrim you kind of got all your resources stuck in some chest and you didn't know what to do with them? That's not an issue in Fallout anymore. You can put all your stuff in the workshop bench. Your special weapons, all that stuff, your power armor, everything. Just put it right there, and then go back to it whenever you want from any settlement nearby. And if you've been doing the settlement quests, there will be a lot of settlements nearby. Secondly, you can get your own stores going. You have a settler run them, you make sure the store is big enough, and you get enough people there, and then you get a constant stream of caps. So you no longer have to worry about getting all your caps, or gold, or whichever word you want to use, and having to spend it on one big purchase and then being out of ammo, or running out of ammo and not being able to buy any at the store. Nope. You've got your own store, and they send you the caps. So just as you sit around, suddenly I've got 1,000 caps from this store. That's cool. Furthermore, it also provides your companions a nice place to hang out, and you can even send them from place to place. I actually keep all my companions at Sanctuary. And the best part, you get Sanctuary within the first hour of gameplay. Your first settlement is right there. So you don't have to wait half the game to get a reliable home base like you have to do in Fallout 3. Nope. First hour, here's your base. And the best part is it's actually your old hometown, so you get attached to it. Let's see. First, the change to VATS. VATS now just slows time instead of stops it, and honestly, I didn't see much of a difference. It just encourages being quicker. And the gameplay is really good. Enemy AI is great. They use grenades well. You can shoot the grenades out of the air, which I have never managed to do. The enemies use cover. They have different types. The AI is noticeably improved. I like it. And the change to VATS, you don't actually have, for some, you're, blah, 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 blah. I'm not working off a script. I have noticed that it seems like, though it might just be my memory, the weapons use different VATS formulas, though I've noticed it doesn't seem tied to the weapon's fire rate. Rifles use a set amount of AP, and pistols use a set amount of AP, which means you can have a slow-firing pistol that fires much faster in VATS. I've actually found that the way they've changed VATS around, it's actually less useful than it was in Fallout 3, but not in a bad way. It actually encourages figuring out which weapons work best in VATS and which weapons work best outside of it, and using them from time to time. And that actually works. It encourages trying different things, and a game that encourages trying different things is always good. A really nice change? You now have your own little mini weapon wheel. You can just tap the directional pads to get your weapon, and you can use up to, 12 different weapons at once, or even items. So you can keep your stim packs on, say, the down directional pad, keep a couple melee weapons under that, and keep all your energy weapons on top, pistols on the right, and rifles on the left, and bing bang boom, you've got a quick thing that you can do instantly in battle. You can fire off your pistol, switch to your rifle, boom, they're gone. Or what I've done sometimes is use my pistol, blam them with VATS, switch to my automatic rifle, and then use a long sustained burst of that. Since VATS will use burst fire with automatics, which doesn't take the most advantage of their firing rate. Let's see. The weapon mod system is spectacular. It works. See, even with special legendary weapons, you can easily make any weapon awesome. Like, let's say you have a simple 10mm gun. It's worthless, it's pathetic, but you know what? You like it. So what you do is you take it to the weapon mod, slap on a heavy frame, slap on a better sight, slap on a, new barrel to get improved aim, and suddenly your 10mm weapon's good for the end game. And that's exactly what I've done with them. I've got some simple pipe weapons that until recently worked. They did incredible amounts of damage. Why? Because I made sure to upgrade them. And the upgrades work, and you can even add cooler stuff like Let's say you have a rifle with a good firing rate, so you want to make it smaller. You just change the barrel and suddenly your rifle becomes a pistol. You can do that. And I've actually done it with a few weapons. In fact, if you want to use the gunslinger perk, you can take your rifles and change them to pistols. If you want to use riflemen, you can take the pistols and change them to rifles. It's entirely within your power. And let's see what else. Oh yeah, the perks. The change of the skill system also works. It actually reminds me of one of the things I liked most about 4th Ed D&D. Because here's the thing with the skill system. It was dumb. No, seriously, it was dumb. It worked with the old one. Because with the old one, they were just rolling a D100. That was the deal. In this, they're not just rolling a D100. So you don't need to have it be 1 out of 100. So what they did was take out the skills, and while it reduces customizability on the surface, it actually increases good customizability. Because, see, there's two types of customizability. False customizability and true customizability. If you have 10 points, but you have to use all 10 points to make it meaningful, that's not true customizability. 9 of those points are worthless. That was the problem with 3rd Ed D&D. You have a ton of skill points, but you have to use them all in a set amount of manner to really be useful. Fact of the matter is, 90% of the time in D&D, what you do is you pick a number of skills equal to your skill points, and you just put 1 in each of them every level, and that's what you do. Because otherwise, your skills just wouldn't be optimized. So what they did in 4th Ed was they took out the having to do all those skills and just said, select a number of skills. Those are your trained skills, and we'll automatically add the +1 every level. That was all they did. And it worked. So essentially they took the stupid math out so you could instead have more true customization. Fallout did the same. They just said, okay, just take the special stats and we'll assume all your skills are at the certain level. Instead, we're just going to make all the perks useful. And they did not add make your skill better perks. They just made sure all the perks were cool. Like, the gunslinger is do 20% extra damage. That's a really hefty amount, and it increases every level you take it. You can take up to 5 for do twice the damage with guns. That's a good, useful perk. What this also meant is that it was a lot easier to let you level quicker and level more meaningful. Plus, they were even able to say, here, what you do is you now get, hold on for a second, you now get every level you have, you can just increase your special stats. So you want to have 10s across the board, you can do it. And you will never stop leveling, ever. There is no level cap in Fallout 4. It works. And while I haven't found all the perks that I like, and a lot of days I've been thinking, okay, which perk's the best? They're all useful for a certain playstyle. Like, Armorer. Armorer is awesome because the mods are a really good system. Vans, I took it early on, but the fact of the matter is it turned out it sucks. Oops. But I only lost 1 level on it, and I quickly got a 2nd level so I could do other things. And fact of the matter is, if I get lost, I can use Vans. And what does Vans do? It just means you get a little golden trail pointing you towards your ally, which can actually be useful in certain dungeons, so I should probably look into that more. Let's see, what else? Okay. The gameplay is fun, and it makes sure to keep the Fallout air. You still have to scavenge rapidly for stuff, and the junk, the way they use the junk works really well. The junk you get, instead of being vendor trash, is tied into the crafting system. So let's say you find a teddy bear. You can take it apart and use the cloth to make new armor, which again means you don't have to worry too much about armor tiers. You like a piece of armor? You can upgrade it to max. They did do an interesting change. The amount of damage resistance you get from armor maxes out at 55. Why'd they do this? Because frankly, they kind of needed to. A lot of times in late game Fallout, people would use exploits to make themselves totally immune to a type of damage. So they said, okay, you can't do that anymore. Note, however, that there is an exception. Certain types of armor will grant you 100% damage reduction. Two that come to mind are Minutemen General's Uniform, which grants you record 80% energy resistance, but doesn't stack with other armor. The second one is the Hazmat Suit, which grants you 10,000 rad resistance. I repeat, 10,000. You will become immune to radiation while wearing the Hazmat Suit. So, they specifically made at least 2 sets of armor that violate this. And there's a second reason they had to do it. Fact of the matter is, it's really easy to get up high armor with this. See, they added an extra thing where you have under armor and outer armor. So you can have, let's say I'm wearing a t-shirt and jeans. This has sucky damage resistance, right? Obviously, I mean, that hurt. So what I do is grab a special type of chest plate. So I'd now be doing this. And yeah, some chest plates pretty much are that. You just took a piece of plastic and strapped on strings and you're walking around with it. That's pretty much what the metal chest plate looks like. Now, what's interesting is certain armor doesn't play well with it, seems to be tied to whether or not the armor has high damage resistance. So like if you're wearing a high damage resistant Steeled Scribe outfit, you can't wear leather armor over it. This system's actually kind of infuriating at times because what provides what is a bit inane, but they at least warn you about it by showing on your little Pip-Boy guy which stuff's covered. Like, for instance, you could wear a pretty dress, and you can't wear anything over it, period. The net effect of this, of course, is you just don't wear the pretty dress except if you're in town, which is actually kind of the point of the pretty dress. You only wear it when you're outside a battle and you need an extra 3 charisma. And 3 out of 10 is pretty damn hefty. I've pretty much used the thing to do it. Now, there is one issue with the special system in this one. Intelligence is kind of a god stat. Right up there with wisdom and Planescape. While it doesn't add to many skill checks, in fact, charisma is the only skill that gets constant checks. Because since they've destroyed speech utterly, they just said straightforward, here, the higher your charisma, the more chance you have of getting stuff. And surprisingly, the Black Widow perk is a lot less useful. I mean, sure, you get a bonus to damage with men, but the easier skill checks isn't that useful if you bumped your charisma up to 9 or 10, which is what I did pretty damn fast. I've kept it at 6 because that's where you get the local leader perk. And fact of the matter is, you're going to want to have a charisma of at least 6 by the mid-game, because that's when you start being able to put supply lines, and that's where you start being able to put shops, and that's where the settlement thing pays the heck off. So yeah, there are a few areas where the game gets, if you want to succeed, do this. On the plus side, since you're not gonna screw yourself over by not doing it, it just means, okay, now I can do this. Like, it's perfectly fine for you to wait until the settlement system comes into play to do the local leader perk. You get an infinite amount of perks. In fact of the matter, perks were always the fun part of Fallout. They're cool and unique and interesting. They allow a lot more customizability to your character than I'm going to bump up X skill or Y skill. And it's always good to provide true customizability, because there's a lot of a difference with even one perk. Again, just one level of Gunslinger increases your damage by 20%. The Armor mod completely changes the way you can play, because now you can do extra stuff. The Pickpocket perk, instead of pumping 20 points or 10 points into Pickpocket, is just, here, one level, you're 25% better. Bing, bada, boom. It's a cool system, and I like it. Now, I've talked a lot about the gameplay. It's time for the story. And the story is good. See, I didn't like Skyrim. Why didn't I like Skyrim? Because you feel like you're doing the same thing for 70 hours when only 30 hours of it matter. Your companions are all interchangeable. The quest is very kind of cliche, and it doesn't have a good reveal. Meanwhile, Fallout actually does have a good reveal. You have 13 companions, each of which is unique. Each of the companions has their own unique perk, and you get that perk by hanging out with them and learning to love them, which is a cool way to get a perk. For one thing, I hung it with this character Piper, and we ended up romancing each other, and she's really fun. I will admit she does sort of lack a payoff for her stuff, primarily because she doesn't have a end-game quest line. Now, she has a starting quest, but you'll finish that by the time you get her as a companion, and it's pretty much just do an interview with her. She's also tied into one of the arcs, but they don't make that part of her quest, which is a darn shame, because I'm really interested in the stuff with Diamond City. I guess that arc shifts to Nick Valentine, or it's an actual main plotline arc. But yeah, I want to see if Major McDonough is a synth. And that gets into the other thing. You have a good bad guy who's actually charismatic. Now, in Skyrim, you essentially had 3 bad guys. One was the Civil War arc, where both the areas are interchangeable. You have the Empire, and you have the Rebels. What's the difference? Well, the way it's presented to the player, none whatsoever. Now, if you look carefully, you'll find there's a lot of difference. Namely, the Empire works with the Thalmor, because they have to, as suppressing Talos worship. Meanwhile, the Rebels want to allow Talos worship and stop the Thalmor, but their leader's kind of a racist jerk. He's very oppressive against innocent dark elves, or elves that are not affiliated with the Thalmor. If you look into their city, they're actually going through the ghetto. Furthermore, the Empire doesn't want to work with the Thalmor, and in fact, some of them actually worship Talos on the side, but they just don't have the power to oppose the Thalmor. Then you have the Dragon arc, where your enemy is Akatosh, who shall bring doom across all humanity, because that's what he does. That's his entire purpose. He's a generic doomsday villain of the worst kind. He doesn't seem to represent anything. He doesn't really have a personality other than, "Fools, none can oppose doom! Bow before Darkseid! Behold my draconic power!" And that's it. Now, extra credits would probably have an essay on it, because there are good ways to do a plot device villain. Akatosh is not one of them. The whole plot with him essentially amounts to finding out who the hell is this guy. I mean, he does a lot of cool stuff, but the fight with him, well, for one thing, it kind of comes out of nowhere, since it's literally you're meeting with your mentor and Akatosh comes and goes, "Fools, I shall stop you, now that you have learned the one shout that can damage me." Now, it's a really cool, battle, but it's also kind of unbalanced too, since fact of the matter is that it's really hard to defend against his breath weapon. And if you can defend against his breath weapon, he's really easy. So yeah, even this boss is kind of one of those where you have to exploit his weakness or no. Ugh. Not only that, there's this weird bug where if you hit him at the wrong time, you can't damage him at all. Oops. Now let's see, where was I? Oh yes. So essentially, you have one bad guy who's a plot device, and while he does a lot of cool stuff, that doesn't mean he's a cool character. And once you're spoiled on him, the build-up kind of comes across as oops. So you have your generic Apocalypse guy, and you have your ultra gray thing. Now, all that backstory I went into, that's made a side subject. The actual way you join is you walk up to one side of the Civil War and say, "I'm with you guys." And they say, "Great, let's go into this." And that's it. You're instantly locked out of all the other guys' quest lines. And in fact, both the entry quests are identical. So, oops. See, they went to great lengths to make sure you wouldn't be punished for choosing one side or the other. So the actual gameplay effect of each is pretty much the same. And that's a bad style. See, there's two ways to make sure... One of the worst ways to make people care about the characters is to make them identical. In that case, it essentially feels like it's a coin flip. And this is very much a coin flip. Do I side with the Empire or do I side with the Rebels? Who cares? They're both identical. I get the same loot, and fact of the matter is neither one of them will matter in the long run. Worst thing, the third big bad is the Thalmor. Who cares? You never get to fight the Thalmor in any significant manner. If you side with the Rebels, you never get to knock the Thalmor out of the Empire area. Side with the Empire, the Thalmor apparently on your side. One of the bigger secrets, though, what I find hilarious, if you, in the main quest line, and this is what made me side with the Empire, you find a thing where the Thalmor state blatantly, "We don't give a shit about the Civil War. We win either way." In fact, Utgard, leader of the rebels, is a Thalmor asset. I repeat, they consider him... Utgard is helping our agenda. We like this guy, despite the fact that he's rebelling against the Thalmor. That should tell you how utterly pointless the rebellion is. Let's see. Fallout? Fallout is well done. They make sure both sides are gray, but they're gray in completely different ways. The Brotherhood, while well-intentioned, is kind of racist and xenophobic. They've been given a serious character check. See, one of the big criticisms from hardcore fans was the Brotherhood became the good guys. They all wear pure white, and their sole purpose is to make the world a better place. Now, this is really cool, but it's not Falloutish. They have too many resources, and having one organization who the character worships and works for that makes the whole world a better place and is led by some big good takes power away from the character's plans. In fact, one of the criticism is you don't actually matter much. I mean, sure, you're the frontliner, but the fact of the matter is, other than you being a guy who gives the intel, once Liberty Prime is fixed, they don't need you. And they probably could have sent a Brotherhood dude to get Liberty Prime fixed. After your dad gets killed in Fallout 3, and you go to the Brotherhood and give them all the info they need, that's your part of the story. And even the password your character figured out is pretty easy to just, oh yeah, it's my dad's favorite Bible verse. Huh, okay, thanks. In fact, one ending is actually you can tell it to the main bad guy, and he goes, oh, thanks. Bang! Well, I don't need him anymore. And honestly, the Brotherhood could have done the same thing. Oh, thanks, so that's how you get everything working? Good. You sit there, get some hot cocoa and rest. We'll handle everything. We'll handle everything. Good boy. Here's a cookie. Here's a cookie. Sorry, I am not used to making gestures with my hands. It's a very small camera. Okay, so yeah, that's the issue. In this, they've said, okay, the Brotherhood's no longer the unquestioned good guys. The Brotherhood is now their general ideas are okay, but the way they go about it is a bit eek. Sadly, this involved killing off Sarah Lyons, which is a shame. I liked her. But anyway, with that done, you're now no longer okay. See, they actually did away with the straightforward good-evil karma thing, which is a damn good idea. Fallout isn't supposed to be about pure good versus pure evil. It's supposed to be about shades of gray and surviving in the apocalypse. Now, admittedly, the previous bad guys have been pure evil, but that doesn't mean necessarily you have to keep with it. Heck, Wasteland 2 has bad guys that are pure evil, but it also has a lot of shades of gray and tough moral choices. And Fallout 4 has those tough moral choices. The Institute, meanwhile, are very well done bad guys. They're not, we're evil! We kick puppies! Like the Enclave were. In fact, one of the criticisms of Fallout 3 is on screen, the Enclave isn't actually as bad as they're supposed to be, except for kicking puppies. You wouldn't know they were the bad guys unless they were going, we're the Enclave. We wear all black. We shoot red lasers. And hold on, civilian. Yes. In fact, their evil plan is essentially comes out of nowhere because they need an evil plan. What's their evil plan? Well, there's actually two of them. The first one was, we're going to poison all the water because people deserve to die. The other one is, we just want control of the water purifier. Why? Because we're the Enclave. We own everything. What are you going to do with it? I don't know. That's their thing. If they'd asked nicer, they probably would have been given it. Seriously, if they weren't so busy being evil, they would actually accomplish their goals. That was the problem with the Enclave. They were very bad serial villains. It's the kind of thing they made fun of in New Vegas with Dr. Morbius! With my army of giant rad scorpions! No, robo-scorpions! Turns out he's purposely playing the part of the villain. The Enclave has about the depth of Dr. Morbius! Yes, you have to say his name like that, because that's how he says it. He really just gets through, Dr. Morbius! I mean, I didn't get quite the right type of hamminess, but he is hammy. Meanwhile, what's their motives? You don't know. All you know is the Institute are trying to slowly and carefully take over everything. They have armies of robots that look just like everyone else and don't know they're robots. So, for instance, I could possibly be a robot right now. And I just scared myself. But yes, and at the same time, they're sending armies of synths, lesser generations, to stamp out anyone who's against them. So there'll be a couple times where you just have a thing which consists of robot army attacks. Okay, you fight off the robot army. They have weapons and power equal to the Brotherhood of Steel. And what's their motive? You have to find out. And I'm not spoiling it. Plus, they have a more definite reason for why they do what they do. While they're introduced doing something that's hideously evil, namely kidnapping your son, their eventual motives turn things on the head and make things gray. They're not evil for the sake of being evil. At the same time, if you don't like the gray choices, surprise, surprise, you don't have to side with one of these two. You can side with the Underground Railroad, who specifically take out both parties because both parties are kinda evil. You can side with the Minutemen, who you actually own. So yeah, they took a thing from New Vegas and said, you could have an ending where you take over the wastes. Best part though, this doesn't mean you have to become the antagonist of the Brotherhood of Steel. It just means you set things up so you're running things, not the Brotherhood. And while the plot definitely takes some cues from Fallout 3, I actually like the cues they take. They twist them around and put them in a new direction. And yeah, spoilers, Liberty Prime is back. I don't mind him being back. He's awesome. But yeah, the story has depth to it. The story has good writing and fun silliness. Skyrim lacked depth. It has three-dimensional characters and actual moral quandaries. Skyrim has false moral quandaries where it's more of a coin flip. So, Fallout 4 just feels like a more mature game than Skyrim. And it feels like a game I'm proud to devote hours to my life to. In fact, I want to hear more about Preston. I think that's his name. I want to hear more about Piper. I want to hear more about Strong. Because you basically get an evil super mutant who decides to work for you. He's obsessed with finding the milk of human kindness. Because he thinks that if he drinks it, he'll become strong. He's probably ripped humans apart and said, where's the milk? I can't find the milk. What? There's supposed to be the milk of human kindness here. Are you storing it in a secret area? Tell me where it is. And you just want to say, oh boy. Explanation for him? Some guy tried to show super mutants Shakespeare, and it did not end well. That's the explanation for Strong. It's hilarious. Let's see, you've got an Irish pit fighter who's addicted to chems because, well, if she didn't, she wouldn't win so much. You've got a hard-hitting journalist who's convinced that the mayor is evil robot. Seriously, Fallout's one of the things where your mayor's actual campaign platform is, I am not a killer robot. Of course, if he were a killer robot, he wouldn't know, and there are some suspicious parts. No, I'm not going to spoil it. And you've got Nick Valentine, who, minor spoiler, turns out to be a killer robot who's actually a perfectly nice guy. See, turns out that the synths are actually fully sentient. They're just enslaved by the Institute, and some of them have sleeper programming. So, for instance, the Institute can remote control a synth and say, Synth, direct order, destroy him. Exterminate, exterminate, exterminate. But other than that, the synth's actually a nice person. So theoretically, if you destroyed the Institute, the synths wouldn't be a danger anymore. In fact, you actually do meet a couple of synths who aren't given the kill order, and they don't even know they're synths. They're actually really nice guys. All in all, Fallout 4 is just fun. The gameplay is improved. The armor mods work. The rewards for quests are a lot better. EXP appears meaningful and worthwhile, and the perks are really cool. And it just is fun. And I just want to play it more and more. I recommend this game to everyone, and I hope you all enjoy it. I am. The Lordly Verdict, 5 out of 5. Have fun, everyone.